Well, hello and welcome to episode number 1 of the Travel Buzz podcast. This is for Saturday, June the 3rd, 2023. In this episode, we're going to be discussing a resort review of Sandals Ochi, an all-inclusive resort in Jamaica. Make sure and visit our sponsors who make this show possible, Big Dreams Travel, at www.bigdreamstravelusa.com. Enjoy the show, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 1 of the Travel Buzz podcast. I'm John Arthur and excited to be joined today by one of our awesome dream designers from Big Dreams Travel, Jill Sanchez. Jill is going to be sharing her recent experience from Sandals Resort Ochi. How's everything going today, Jill?
It's great. I'm ready.
Awesome. Glad to have you on. Excited to hear about Sandals down in this one's in Jamaica. Remember, as we start, to support Big Dreams Travel. They're the ones who make this show possible. At Big Dreams Travel, their goal is to help your family have the vacation of your dreams while they do all the work. The dream designers there will work with you from start to finish and help you through all of the important aspects of your vacation, wherever that may take you. Contact them for any vacation destination you may have interest in. You can visit them at www.bigdreamstravelusa.com, or you can email them at quote@bigdreamstravelusa.com. Well, welcome everyone to our first ever episode. On Saturdays, our podcast is going to bring you some great travel reviews from resort stays, maybe cruises and other travel destinations. And like we said, today Jill is going to give us a review here of the Sandals Resort she recently visited. This one's down in Jamaica. Sandals, of course, an all-inclusive, adults-only luxury resort destination. They have locations all across the Caribbean. But today we're going to talk about Sandals Ochi. So, Jill, first off, give us a little background. Where Ochi is located, and what maybe if we're talking about airport, what airport are we flying into to get there the easiest?
Okay, so let's see. Ochi is in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, and that is on the north side of Jamaica, and it is east of Montego Bay, which is where you would fly into to Sangster Airport in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
Okay, awesome.
I was just going to say
And
Ocho Rios is like about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours east, depending on traffic and weather.
Right. So it is a little bit of a drive. Ocho Rios is a pretty big or a little larger cruise port, but yeah, the airport is a little bit further away from there. What about kind of talk to us about that drive as we get to the resort, the drive from the airport? Anything special to note or be prepared for as you do that?
Well, okay, so it's one of our drivers calls them the Zoom Zooms. The driving can be erratic. So it is a good idea to hire a driver. Also, they were once not owned. What's the the Royals? They were over them. Great Britain.
Yes.
Basically owned Jamaica. I don't know if owned is the right
Mhm.
word, but they ruled over them. And so the driving is on the other side of the street than what we are used to in the United States. So that's, again, is another a barrier if you have issues with driving that way.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend having a driver. Trying to think, there is the White House in Rose Hall.
Uh-huh.
There's about Annie. Oh, I just totally blanked on her last name, but she has a story. And so if you have the right driver, they will tell you the story. Oh, Annie Palmer, and her husband's. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to
Uh-huh.
tell you the story because I'll ruin it.
Right. So yeah, and so awesome, good information there on getting over to Ocho Rios, a beautiful area, but it is just a little bit of a drive, and so make sure everybody's aware of that. Let's talk as you arrive at Sandals. Tell us a little bit about how was the check-in process there at Ochi and all those things.
Okay, so Ochi is actually separated into three properties. There is the Great House, which is up on the hillside, and then there are two properties down close to the beach. There's the Riviera, and there is the Beach Club. So we were staying in the Riviera side. We were in club level room, which is between the luxury and the butler level. So you get special privileges with that. So if you're doing a regular check-in, there is a kind of a normal lobby that you would see in a hotel when you first get there. If you're in club level, you will then be escorted by an employee of Sandals. You'll be escorted to the club Sandals, which is a little bit of a walk, but they'll take your luggage for you, or they'll keep your bigger luggage, whatever you want. They'll take it for you, and then you go to Club Sandals, and it's a nice reception area with chairs and sofas and drinks. They had a rum punch for us, and they have cookies, and just in the mornings they have breakfast and stuff. And so you just kind of wait your turn, which wasn't long, and you go and you sit and you have a very nice, lovely check-in with a beautiful person sitting there and helping you. And it's super simple. I think one thing I forgot to mention on the drive is that Sandals will get you there. You don't have to pay extra if you don't want to for your transfer to and from the airport with Sandals. That's included. We opted to do that this time because we had some special friends with us. And so we hired a private driver to take us. But Sandals can do that as well. You can hire your private driver through them or go with everybody else. That is included in the cost. So sorry about that. I got that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good information. Yeah, Sandals anywhere in the Caribbean includes that transportation from the airport. It's a shared transportation, as Jill said. But yeah, certainly have the option always of doing your private driver. So sounds like the check-in process, and you were, of course, in the club level.
Yes.
And Jill, speak maybe a little bit to Sandals has the really, I think, three levels of service in terms of the club level is kind of the middle tier of what when you book your room, it's tied to what room you book. But then, of course, higher than that is the butler level service, and then I think on the kind of the standard end, I think they call it a luxury room.
Yes.
But you guys were in the middle one, correct? In the club
Yes.
level.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So luxury is going to be your kind of your lead in level of service. There are different categories of rooms. So you can get really nice rooms in the regular luxury level that so you can get room service and things like that. You just it's kind of like I said, it's a lead in. So I don't want to say it's like because it's really nice. I mean, everything's still included. I love it. I've stayed in that level a few times, and so it's just fine. Club level just kind of brings it up a notch. So you've got room service included between like 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. You can still get room service around those times, outside of those times, but you have to pay a little extra for that. You can, like I said, you can go into the club level lounge anytime you want, the Club Sandals lounge, anytime you want, and there's snacks and stuff. And you just have this, like anytime you have an issue, if you want to go talk to them, it's just a real nice place. It's air conditioned. If you're hot, you can just go sit in there if you want to. It's just kind of this other level of service. Now, butler level, I have not stayed in yet, but I've talked to lots of people that have. Obviously, they have a butler, and the butler will make reservations, dining reservations for them. They will take them whatever they want. I mean, you want extra beers or wines or cocktails or whatever, they'll just bring them to them. They'll do, oh, and I know in club level, you get a turn down service. You also, obviously, anything you get in club level, you get in butler level plus. So it's just kind of makes it a 5-star experience. And I will tell you that butler level at Ochi, you're up on the hill and you stay in these incredible rooms. I've seen a lot of those rooms, like the Romeo and Juliet for honeymooners and things. It's amazing. The Romeo and Juliets there have it's like totally enclosed. It's like a little tiny little compound that it has. One end is your living with a little kitchenette, and then in the little courtyard is a little plunge pool with a shower and little and lounge chairs. And it's totally private, so you can be private. And then on the other end is the bedroom with an incredible bathroom, master bathroom, and it's and then you have a butler, and the butler will only show up if you want them to. So if you
Right.
want your privacy, you just tell them we need some time. So anyway,
Yeah.
great for
So when
honeymooners.
you're, yeah, awesome. So when you're selecting those sandal stays, you kind of, that's kind of the first thing is that you would look for is which of those three categories do you want to be in? And then Jill, that's kind of a good segue into tell us a little bit about your room and what you thought, what you enjoyed. And then if you've got maybe a couple of the other room types that are kind of the big ones at this resort. I don't know if you were able to see any on this trip or just that you know of um, as you work with this resort. But tell us a little bit about your room first.
Okay, so my room was it was the honeymoon Riviera club level. I should have written down the actual name of it. Anyway, it was
Sandals room categories are they're kind of known for being long and
yes.
they can get a little wordy, but
I think there's
they do have it has a purpose, so you know what everything is, but they
yeah,
are kind of hard to remember sometimes.
yeah, it was they have Ochi has like 23 or 25 room categories. So it's I apologize. I should have had that part written down. I could look it up in a minute. Anyway, so our room was a tropical view, and it was all the beds there are king size beds. And so our room was actually right off of the regular lobby area, and up some stairs. Uh, so you walk in and there's a nice bathroom with a tub shower combo. It has a balcony with chairs and a little table. It had a bar, and because you're club level, you get that's another amenity with club level is you get nicer alcohol in your room. You'll have wine, and we had rum, tequila, whiskey, and vodka. I believe we really didn't drink much in our room because everything's included everywhere. And so if we wanted to drink, we would just be out at the pool or at the beach and we would get a drink there mainly. But they will restock. But we just didn't take super good advantage of that, but that's okay. We did other places. So there's a large television. It's a beautiful room, a four poster bed, um, carpeted. I think that's it. I'm gonna have to look up the name of that maybe later and let you know. You can add it in the
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, so the tropical view is basically going to be a kind of a garden type view or something like that, as opposed to an ocean view. Obviously, they're going to have the ocean views um, available and all those kind of things. I just different room types for sure. But any other room types at this resort that you know of that are maybe different than most places. Obviously, we're going to have
Yes.
the ocean view rooms and those kind of things. And you talked about the butler rooms earlier, but anything else to add on that?
Yeah, so I know that again on the Butler side, up on the hill, they have you're not by the beach, so they just have spectacular views for people. So this one area, you it's a fourplex, and so there's two up, two down, and you obviously you have stairs to go up, but they have these rooms that have a living room and they're one bedroom suites, and they have a little butler area so the butler can go over there and do his make drinks for you, or do whatever you want them to do over there. You walk out onto the veranda and it faces the ocean with this sweeping panoramic view of Jamaica and the hills and leading down to the ocean. It's incredible. And then those fourplexes have their own pool, so only the people in that fourplex can use that pool. So those are pretty amazing rooms as well. And I was going to say on the Riviera side, there is a tower. It's not real tall. I think it's around 5 stories tall, maybe 6. And there are garden poolside views, and then there are, again, sweeping panoramic ocean views, and you're right there at the beach. In fact, the picture that you have on the screen behind you, that is the tower that I'm talking about right now. So at least I think so. It sure looks like it. Oh, I'm not hearing you, John.
Sorry about that. Yep, that's
Yeah.
definitely the resort I pulled up there, and yeah, so I think that's the Riviera section you were talking about there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's the view from the building you have facing the other way.
sure. Well, that the four rooms in the fourplex with that pool out there sounds like a great thing for if you kind of want a little less hectic pool experience and those kind of things for people.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal. So some great room types, of course. Sandals is kind of known for, they're kind of known in the all-inclusive world, maybe where other resorts aren't, for having some of those more unique room categories, having maybe more options than other places. And so that's a good thing here as well. Let's talk to us a little bit about one of the other things as we talk about Sandals being maybe a little different than a lot of all-inclusive places. One of the things they're really known for is the service that you get from their staff. How was that on this trip? Give us a little, talk to us about that.
Okay, so yeah, Sandals is kind of a step above, and which I love. It's because they are a little bit higher in price. So much is included, and I just think part of that experience is they train their staff to really want to make the guests happy. So I mean, it's just great because they, most of the time, pretty much all the time, they have a smile on their face. And like I did a review after my stay, and I was naming specific employees just that really had an impact on me. There's this wonderful woman, she's on the entertainment staff. Her nickname is Sweetie. um, and she, I think, is one of the supervisors of the entertainment staff, and she just was excellent. We went for the white party. Those of you that have been to Sandals, you know what that is. Um, People wear all white, and then there's a chocolate party after or during after. And anyway, so Sweetie just kind of decided she was going to hang out with us, my husband and I, and then our two friends. So she just came up and we danced together. We just talked, and then she went over to, I don't know if you know this, but Ochi has a speakeasy. And so she went over to the speakeasy and got us places to sit. So that's the kind of service. It's just very personalized. We had that type of service happen several times where an employee might just kind of say, "Hey, you guys," and for a little bit, we're like their best friend for a little while when they show us things, and just make it special.
Yeah, that definitely makes it special when they kind of go out of their way to make your stay better. And yeah, Sandals, like we said, is kind of known for that at their properties and throughout the Caribbean. But yeah, it's always good to hear stories of these individual Sandals that they're all kind of holding up to that standard. That's definitely one of the things we kind of look for, as it's they're obviously a major resort chain there in the Caribbean, and so you want to make sure, no matter which one you go to, it's great to hear that level is staying there in terms of the service. Let's kind of move down and talk a little bit about the beach area. That's always an important thing when selecting one of these resorts, and so maybe a little bit about how this beach is arranged, what's available there to guests, and those kind of things.
Okay, so I'm thinking the best way is for me to kind of describe with the picture in the background. If you look, you can see there's basically beach all along that whole picture, and that pretty much all of that is available. The beach that we really hung out with is like when I'm looking at you, so is to the far right of your screen. And that is kind of, I would say, about their biggest and most spread out beach. They have about 3 rows of lounge chairs all spread out there. Probably, I don't know, 30 to 40 lounge chairs. And then over to the side of those, to the left of those lounge chairs, are covered, kind of like these big canopies that come up. And there's 2 lounge chairs with a table in between in each of those. And there's probably 8 to 10 of those. So if you want to get those, you got to get there a little early. But the towel game was not too strong there, which I loved because, people could use things when they got there. And right at that beach that I was just talking about is a pool up some steps. So that beach makes it really convenient to use a big pool at Beach Club. And then, so if you go to the left, there's a dock, and then there's a little bit of beach. Not much, really. I wouldn't use the one in between the 2 big docks that are over to the right. Okay, so then if you continue walking, there's a large beach area in that inner, between that kind of U shape of docks. That's a, excuse me, that is a big beach area that you can also use. It is a little rocky when you first start going out, so you just kind of walk slow. But once you get out there, the beach is, the sand is really soft on your feet. And in that little U area, and actually over to the right, they also have these big yellow, round, they float, and you can sit on them. They have netting in the middle. I don't know what you call them, but they're like these, I don't know, little floats, and you can fit probably at least 4 people easily, maybe 6. People hang on the sides of them. So, I mean, I saw people out there with 8 to 10 people either sitting or hanging off of them. So that was great. And then the beach, if you continue where the trees are, that's all actually beach with lounge chairs all underneath them, so you can lay in the shade and still have access to the water just right there. And then over to the left of those trees, it looks like you can see there's sails. So they have boards and all kinds of things. That's kind of the more sports area, the sports beach. And like that's where we did kayaks. Over to the area in between the 2 sets of trees, there was a little area where the kayaks are, and you just go up and you sign a little deal that you're gonna borrow them and bring them back. And we went out around to your left, which is not in the picture, which is Royal Plantation next door to them, and we went and kayaked over in front of Royal Plantation. So,
which is another Sandals resort that sits there,
yeah, Butler's
next
only.
door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, and I will just mention right here, if you're listening to the podcast here on YouTube, you can see these pictures. We'll post it there. If you're listening to just the audio version, you can go to YouTube to see the pictures, or
yeah.
And so yeah, go watch the YouTube channel. You'll get some pictures, and I'll probably throw some other pictures in here as we're talking about various things. But yeah, great overview of the beach there. How was and you mentioned a little bit to get there early if you wanted one of the covered little places to sit. How was the crowding at the beach, as far as getting a chair and those kind of things?
So we got there on a Tuesday. And so every morning we would get up and do breakfast around 7 a.m. By the time we got to the beach, it was around 8, and the crowds weren't bad at all. But we got there to stay there.
Sure.
The last full day we were there, which was a Saturday, so we had been doing some days under those trees with in the shaded area for the last couple of days. And when we got there, about the same time as we had been getting there, they were all taken. So we had to go get some chairs somewhere else. It wasn't a big deal. We just went back down to the other side, and there were plenty of places. But I'd say it was pretty open, except for until Saturday. And
Until
I guess,
Saturday.
yeah, I mean, you have more people there on a weekend, I guess. So
Sure. Okay, well, that's good to hear. Let's move over. Tell us a little bit about the pools and stuff that are available here.
Okay, so as I mentioned, the pool on the beach club side, it's a large pool. They have a swim up bar. They have lots of seating around the pool. Now, I will tell you, getting into that pool is a little bit of a challenge if you have some mobility issues. So the big step to get down into the pool, they have a little area you can kind of hang on to make that step. So it is a large step. And then that's kind of a shelf, sun shelf that goes all the way around the pool. So it's really nice because you can just hang out in that, in that area where you don't have to get deep. But then there's another huge drop to get in, like you're really getting in the pool there. So anyway, it's a great pool, a lot of fun. They have loud music. They have a stage right by that one, just small stage, that they do live music. And that was a lot of fun. Now, over on the other end, complete other end of on the Riviera side, when I toured this property last August, I don't remember seeing this pool. So it was kind of like a discovery on this trip. So that was fun. They have another pool, and it has a totally different vibe than the one over at Beach Club. But this is, like I said, on the Riviera side, and it is up from the sports beach area. So there are stairs that lead up from the sports beach up to this pool. And it has, of course, a swim up bar. It has a little basketball goal, so which we played basketball for like an hour, I think, one day. It also has this amazing place that you go outside of the pool, go up these stairs, and over on top of the swim up bar area is the sitting area, and it has a great view. And there's couches and things up there, and I think there's a ceiling fan for keeping you cool up there. Didn't spend a lot of time up there because we spent more time in the water, but it was beautiful. And then the pool up on the hillside, that their main pool, because they have a million pools up there because of the Butler Suites, tons of pools up there, but the main pool is massive, has a huge swim up bar, has a clock tower over the swim up bar, has places to sit that are covered, has umbrellas, has tons of lounge chairs. It is just, it's grand. I would say that the great house is grand. Yes, has a huge staircase coming down that separates, and it's beautiful. It's, yeah, you got to check it out.
Awesome. Sounds great. So are the kind of the three main pools, just want to make sure that they're all open to every guest at the resort. There's no restrictions on those, obviously.
Correct. Yeah. Everybody can use them no matter what level they are.
Yeah. Obviously some of the Butler rooms are going to have the private pools, but as far as those main pools, there's no tier, certain tier levels get into those three. So just want to make sure.
No.
Make sure we got that. Yeah, pools sound good. Of course, Sandals kind of known for also the swim up bars. That's always a big factor for people wanting to go to an all inclusive resort for sure. That's maybe one of the top questions you get is there a swim up bar? Everybody loves that. They're so much fun. Talk to us a little bit about the maybe the activities that kind of happened at the resort, whether that's you mentioned some of the water sport things that were available for rental, but what other types of activities did you see kind of throughout the day at the pool, at the beach, wherever?
Okay, so they have a scuba dive shop. They include snorkeling. That's included in the price that you pay. They also include up to 2 scuba diving trips a day for certified divers. Okay, so that's the key. So you're certified before you get there, or they will give you certification classes to certify you while you're there. You do have to pay for those. But if you're already certified, you can go in the morning and the afternoon if you want to on scuba diving trips. They take you, I think it's just a couple of hours each time. So that's really cool. They have a climbing tower over by the dive shop. They have beach volleyball. They have, like I said, all the sports. Okay. And then at the pools, they have activity people that come around and they get you all hyped up and stuff. Hey, we're gonna go play beach volleyball. Come on. And they'll do water aerobics. They do just all kinds of fun things. They do games. One day they tried to get us to dance. We weren't quite ready. But in the underneath the tower on the bottom level right by the beach, there's a bar there, and they'll do a lot of activities like dancing and just like beach games and just all kinds of things like that. It's a lot of fun, and I like how they are very inclusive. You know, they want to get everybody in and having fun. So it's great.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I think that's another thing that kind of sets Sandals apart is they sounds like they have that staff that's dedicated to doing that. You know, I've been at some all inclusive resorts where um, somebody there says it's beach volleyball time and they roll the ball out and just kind of forget it. You know, they let, if you want to play, you go play, and there's no one kind of in charge of that, or like you said, getting everybody to feel involved and
But they're
those
not
kind of
pushy.
things. Sure. Nope. Yes. No. I know what you're saying. That's awesome. That's again. That's just another kind of selling point of why you would want a Sandals vacation. Again, it kind of goes back to the service level that we talked about
Yep.
earlier. They're really really good at making guests feel important. So let's move into probably the maybe your most fun topic to talk about, but everybody always loves to talk about dining. What tell us a little bit about the food? I'll let you kind of do this however you want. If you want to break it up, I know um, obviously there's going to be some quick service stuff. There's probably a buffet. There's going to be some table service stuff. So you just kind of tell us whatever order you want to on those things. What you thought of the dining here at this Sandals Ochi.
Okay, so the mornings they have buffet. They have it up on the hillside and then also down on the beach side. And the food is very good. They have an omelet station. They'll make you whatever you want. They have, oh my gosh, the fruit is amazing on the buffet. And they'll do Jamaican specialties. They'll add that to it. They like breadfruit, but it's a specialty. And so you have to try it at least once. I did try it in August. Um, and so then they have for lunch, we did a different restaurant every day. I don't remember seeing any buffets open for lunch. I think it's just breakfast is buffets, and then it's a la carte for lunch and for dinner. For lunch, there's a restaurant on the beach that has wonderful rosemary chicken. That would be my recommendation. There's the rosemary chicken. We went up on the hillside to the Jerk Shack. Jerk is a Jamaican specialty. We did the tapas on the beach. They have a tapas restaurant, which was amazing. Everything that they bring you is basically for two people. So you would order like 4 or 5 things off the menu, and then you just share everything. And it's just kind of samples of everything. Um, and so, yeah, everything is a la carte. And then for dinner, so the a la cartes for lunch, you just go and you're seated, first come, first serve. For dinner, there's a few places that need reservations. The oh gosh, hibachi restaurant. That one was really good, and that you need reservations for that. It's possible to get in without them if it's not busy, but if it is busy and you didn't make reservations, you're going to be waiting, or you may just not be able to do it. Kelly's Dockside is another one that you need reservations for. That is seafood and steaks, and that actually is out on the dock. I'm trying to see. I think on the U shape, if you are able to see it, it's kind of the bigger area to the right that's covered. That's where they just have lots of tables, and it's beautiful when the sun is setting. It can get a little hot when the sun is
Uh-huh.
setting once the light kind of starts coming in, but then once it
Right.
goes down enough, it's absolutely stunning to watch the sun go down while you're there eating. And there's a bar out there as well. So if you're having to wait for your table, you can just sit and enjoy the sunset from there. And then there's other just really good restaurants. There's let's see, a French restaurant. We had reservations for that as well. That is up on the hillside. So any of the restaurants up on the hill or down on the Riviera, you can use any of them. So again, Sandals does not require bands like some places do. So it's not like everybody's coming around looking at your band saying, "Oh, are you allowed to eat here?" You don't wear
Right.
a band, you just go. And yeah, so here's another deal with Club Level and Butler. I told you a Butler can get your reservations, right? Club Level, when you go in there, once you are completely checked in, that's kind of the key. You get completely checked in first. You can go back to Club Sandals. You can do it on the phone too. I like to do it in person. But you go back to them and they'll make all your reservations for dining for you as well. You just go to them and sit there. So
And just to clarify on the reservations, none of that is done. It's all done once you arrive.
yes,
There's no need to worry about doing that ahead of time.
right.
It's a once you arrive thing. If someone is in the luxury room, is that they would do it on the phone? Is there a desk for them? Do you know, is there a desk for them to get reservations, or is the phone the way for them?
You know what? Probably the phone. I believe they have a concierge desk in the main lobby.
In the main lobby? Okay. Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's right.
I can't. It's been a little while since I've done the luxury instead of the club,
Right.
so
Right.
I can't answer that positively. But I know
Right.
their phone would work.
But you can, yeah, but of course always do that on the phone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes. So great stuff on the dining again. Another thing, Sandals is known for, again, at some all inclusives, that process of getting a reservation for those a la carte restaurants can be difficult, sometimes not explained real well, whereas Sandals, I think, makes it quite a bit easier than maybe other places. All right, moving into kind of one of the last main areas we want to hear about, Jill, is talk to us about the entertainment at the resort as a whole. I know you mentioned a little bit when we talked about service and um, your friend that got you guys taken care of, but what else about the entertainment and kind of what offerings did they have in that area?
Okay. So up on the hillside, I mentioned there is a speakeasy, which is a lot of fun. They have live music there. They had this incredible woman named Lady. Oh gosh, it's totally blanked her name. Lady Sachet, and she had an incredible voice, and she does a show. It was probably about an hour and a half show. They start later, I think around 9 p.m. And then so that is an option up there. They have parties. They'll have theme nights, so there'll be parties. There's a Caribbean night, there's the white party, which also has music. They'll have live performers there. They have some other theme nights, and it's kind of, I will say it is a little difficult to find out what the theme nights are when, if you haven't been there before. So that having a travel advisor helps because we can get that information. So let's see, there is a large place down on the Riviera side, a large theater, and again, that has a bar. Actually, I think they use the bar from the pool that's right behind it, that kind of hidden pool that I was talking about earlier. And then they do all kinds of different nights. They have a Jamaican kind of a reggae night or calypso. Um, and they have like an 80s night. And Sweetie, the one I was talking about earlier from the white night, she was singing on the Jamaican one. She has a great voice as well. They all just are so talented, and they just want to make your time so fun that the entertainment is lively. It is upbeat, and it's a lot of fun. But the large theater is kind of like stadium seating, coming down like that into where everybody can see the stage really easily. So I'm trying to think. And then they have just little pockets of live music in different places. Oh, and karaoke.
Well, yes. Um, so you kind of, as you talk about all that, again, we kind of go back to the service thing. I think, again, that's kind of a difference for Sandals. I think you've mentioned a couple of times, it just sounds like, again, some of the differences in Sandals and other all inclusives. Sandals, their staff is going to do such a great job of keeping you excited and making you feel included, yet not in a pushy way. Whereas at other all inclusives, sometimes you get the sense their goal is to try and upsell you on things or those kind of things, or like you said, wearing the wristbands and making who's staying in what type of room and all those kind of things. And again, that's always a big positive I've heard, and you've mentioned that as well about Sandals Resorts. So um, sounds awesome. Kind of the last thing I had on my list, you had mentioned when we were talking before that, and you've mentioned a couple of things about getting in pools and stuff, but just accessibility around this resort may be something to think about. Talk a little bit about that and what you were thinking there.
Yeah, so there are a million steps and stairs everywhere. So that would be something I would be aware of, if you're thinking you want to go to Ochi, is um, really think about that, because just even getting to restaurants and things, they do have some ramps in some areas, but a lot of it I can't, I just had that on my mind. It was, okay, can I get to this area without, if I'm in a wheelchair or a walker or things like that. And just, it is such a large property. If you have issues getting around, you may want to consider a different Sandals that is a little flatter, a little more accessible. um yeah, so we had one of our friends with us. He has a little bit of an issue with his knees, I believe, and so it would just slow him down. He did fine, but it just kind of slowed him down a little bit. So
And that is the great thing about sandals, though, Jill. And there's so many of them across the Caribbean. You really can find in that situation. There are so many options of these sandals resorts. Even in Jamaica, I think there's four different ones, and maybe more in Jamaica. And so there's a lot of different options in terms of that. If that's a concern, certainly someone like Jill could help you find the perfect one. And all those kind of things. But yeah, that's always definitely good to know. It sounds like the hillside and getting up there is beautiful and all that, but obviously you've got to get up there.
yeah, so on that, they have what's called the hop, and it is kind of a like a 20 25 person small bus or large van, and the hops run constantly. So there are three hop stops on the property. There's one at the hillside at the Great House, one on the beach club right by the dive shop, and then one on the Riviera side in front of their main lobby. And I don't think I even mentioned golf, so I should probably tell you about golf. But anyway, the hops will just constantly, they run. And so if you want to get up to the hillside, the most you're going to wait is 10-15 minutes for a hop, and they'll take you right up there. And they don't want you crossing the street. It's a little dangerous there. So that's why they take everyone in the hop. And it's a little bit, it'd be a little bit of a walk anyway, getting up there. So and the hillside maybe is a little more accessible than down below. Um, so you probably figure it out. But anyway, so golf. Can I tell you about golf?
Sure,
It's
yeah,
in,
let's go.
okay. So green fees are included. You do have, you're required to use a golf cart, which right now is $25, and you are required to use a caddy, which again is $25. Plus, you would tip the caddy, of course. But
Sure.
the green fees are included. If you want to take your clubs, that's perfectly fine. If you want to rent, you can rent really nice clubs there. I believe it's around $75 to rent. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. Even left-handed clubs, so which is big. I don't know about left-handed women's club, which can be an issue sometimes. I've had people
Mhm.
laugh at me before, so um, when I wanted to rent them, so I've used men's. So, but anyway, the golf, my husband and our friend played, while the other friend, we went to the spa, and the golf was amazing. They said they had a great time.
Great. Yeah, it's awesome. Um, so Jill, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but just one more question. You've obviously done a lot of um, you do a lot of all inclusive type stuff. You've been to Mexico on some of those, certainly some of these and other Caribbean islands. What is the to you? What are kind of the big couple of things maybe that set Sandals apart from other resorts? Again, nothing against other resorts. There are certainly great resorts in Mexico and other Caribbean islands, and that should be visited. But what to you makes kind of set Sandals apart and would make you book a Sandals vacation as opposed to maybe another resort group?
Okay, well, so the one thing is those bands. I just feel like it's kind of a status thing at some of the resorts, and I am not a huge fan of that. So that's one thing. The service, like we've talked about again and again during this podcast, is it's just top notch. There's hardly any time that I can think of where someone wasn't smiling or wasn't, and not that I think people need to be fake, but they look like, excuse me, they're enjoying their job. Um, Gosh, that's it. I mean, the service makes all the difference. I think the properties
Sure.
are lovely. They're in beautiful locations, and other places, I'm sure they are. I've been to other places. They're in beautiful locations. But when you roll it all together and you package all of that, it's just makes such a difference to me.
Sure.
But service is
Well, and I
always
think yeah, Sandals sees a high repeat clientele just because of that. You know what's expected, you know what's all a part of that package. Yet you can go to a different Sandals resort and get kind of a different experience something new, but you've got the same. You know the standard is going to be there, and so that's kind of one of the benefits I see too.
right.
Um, One thing I thought about, Jill, Sandals. I always like to caution people at some all inclusive resorts. You're gonna go through, whether you like it or not. You're gonna go through a timeshare pitch or something like that. Um, you don't get a lot of that. You don't get that at Sandals. They do have some rebooking offers that they'll sometimes hit
Incentives.
you with in a rebooking office. Have you had any experience with that? Do you want to mention anything on that? I just kind of thought of that as we were finishing
Yeah.
up here.
Okay, so one day when we were at the pool, real friendly guy came around and he was like, "Hey, have you all been here before and been to a Sandals?" And I said, "Well, I have, and my husband have, but our friends haven't." And he said, "Well, if you guys want to come by, I'll give you a T-shirt." And we're like, "Okay." And and then part of it's like, "Oh gosh, here we go." But when we went by, because we weren't even sure we were going to, but the loyalty office was kind of front and center in this one area in the tower area. And so we went by, and they were like, "Here's your T-shirt. Thanks for coming by. If you want to come by later, if you want to talk about, and they have a sign out front of the loyalty office where it actually lists different categories of rooms at different resorts, and it lists the price. And so what they do is, if you rebook while you're there, and I believe you have up to a year to use that, it could be longer, but I know I'm pretty positive it's at least a year. You get it at this price, which is heavily discounted. Like, you get an extra something off because you're there. They're not pushy. They just present it. They ask you, hey, do you want to come and see what we can offer? And if you're like, yeah, and then you go on in. If not, they're like, okay, have a good day, man. And so it's real, just not high pressure, which is that is. I will say, my husband and I went to a certain resort in Mexico last year for our anniversary, and they were a little high pressure, and I've heard of it before, and I love this resort, but that is really a turnoff to me. And so it makes me want to go, yeah, I don't know if I want to go back or not, as much
Mhm.
as I love it. So
Sure.
that to me is huge for Sandals, to offer it but not push it. That makes
Sure.
sense.
Sure. And the good part about Sandals program, if you do say work with an agent at Big Dreams Travel, they're going to still just mention that as you're doing that, and they'll still keep that applied to your agent so that you can work with that person as well.
Yep.
As opposed to, like Jill said, some other resorts that maybe it's more of a timeshare program and those kind of things. So yeah, always like to, but as Jill said, you can get, I think they give you, when you do one of those loyalty rebooking offers, you get the current discount, which is out there, plus an additional discount on top of that for doing that. So it can be a good thing. Just mention to them that you want your agent that booked that one to stay on your booking, and they'll help you with that. Jill, anything that I've missed that you want to throw in there, or did we cover it all?
I would say one more thing. It's not specifically Sandals, but is Club Mo Bay. And we don't really have time to go into all of that. But if you're
Mhm.
interested in Jamaica, talk to your Big Dreams travel agent
Yeah.
about Club Mo Bay.
Yep. It's a service at the airport there, and
Mhm.
those kind of things. And it's yeah, it makes things really, really smooth. If you like
Yeah.
if you like a smooth airport experience and not a crazy airport experience, let them know, and they can fix you up on that. So, well, that will do it. Jill, thanks so much for being with us, and I'm sure we'll have Jill on again. She's got a lot of resorts that she's been to, and Disney and all those kind of things. So, Jill, we'll get you on again here in the future. And thanks for spending your time telling us about Sandals Ochi.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Travel Buzz podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all of our shows each week, either on YouTube at Big Dreams Travel or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, we would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you click the notification bell so that you know when we post new episodes or videos. I'm John Arthur. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful week and have fun planning those future dream vacations.